Hello world, this is Craig. I was about to put this Intel µscope 820 back in its box. This is the one that I had out, I was working on, that I showed you the board in the last video. Before I did that, I thought I'd show you the components in all their glory here. And so you can see over here we have the power supply. This is the power in. It has multi voltage taps that you can adjust. It has the transformer. And then on this side of the power supply there's a rectifier and the little solenoid that makes the click when you push one of the membrane buttons. Has a giant capacitor here. Power goes into the board, comes across, and at this point it's 13 to 15 volts. Goes across the board and comes into this regulator that drops it down to 5 volts. So you can see this is just a giant heatsink here. They're really dissipating a lot of power off of this thing. Comes back onto the board, a couple of crowbar circuits, and then into the main board for the 5 volts. This is 8085 base, so 5 volts is all it needs. So here's our processor. Let me unplug this to get this out of the way. Here's our processor, our 8155 and our 8355, which is an 8755 masked version. So this is the ROM version of it instead of the EEPROM. So this is basically our 8085 three-component system. It's clock, and then all of this up here at the top, except for the little part that's the power supply, all of this is for the keyboard and the display. So we have an 8279 keyboard controller. That's the same as on the STK85 and other things of that age. So it's a nice little capable keyboard controller that controls the displays and the front panel membrane keyboard that you can see up here. This is our shared RAM that we can overlay. So remember, we can overlay 1 or 2K of memory from this board onto our system under test. Of that, 256 bytes of it can be in RAM, and the rest of it would be in this ROM up here. So this is it's a dual ported memory that can either be on board or from the device under test. So it has 256 words of memory for the trace, and these are 32-bit words. We have a little bit of buffer here. Remember, this is where the CPU is attached to its little dongle that hangs out here, its little probe. Have a little bit of driver. All of this logic over here, these are almost all 7400 series chips, and these are for the breakpoint. So this is where we input the breakpoint, we input the mask for that breakpoint, and then as the data and the address comes in from the processor, the module that is connected to the processor decides whether things like memory, this overlay memory, is either going to be on board the device under test or whether it's going to come out here. And as the addresses come in and the data comes in, it goes through all of these latches and all of these comparators that look at the addresses and the data and try to match the breakpoint. And if the breakpoint matches, then it goes back out to the CPU and puts it into a halt state. So that's really all we've got here. This is our EEPROM that we can put our code in, either for the device under test or little programs that we might want to run, and that's all there is to it. So I can plug it in here, we can look at it. So I have the personality module in, so it comes up and says iNet 8085. Oh, I unplugged my fan, so my power supply could get hot here. Let me plug that back in. That's not getting too hot. So this is blinking, showing that we have a processor, our device under test isn't running, and of course we don't even have a device under test plugged in. The keypad and the display. It sits down on top of it, has all the standoffs, so I have to put all the standoffs back in it, and then all of this goes back into its little briefcase. You can see that this is the empty version of the briefcase. It's just a little instrument case. So it goes back into this. Well, that's all. This is just a quick video. I wanted to give you an idea as to what's inside one of these µscopes. But again, if you're doing a lot of stuff with the 8080 or the 8085, these µscopes 820s are really great. Just short of an in-circuit emulator, but for probing around inside to see what's going on and putting in breakpoints, they're really a fantastic little tool. Okay, well that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.